What's up, bosses? Ready for another awesome show this week? We've got details about the FMCSA's new CDV driver panel. We tell you about the first ever Technician Appreciation Week. We tell you about a crazy trucker story involving a Tesla, and we have part 3 of our autonomous trucking report. It's time to roll. Hey bosses, hope you're staying safe and healthy out there. This week we've got a ton of stuff to talk about, but before we get to all that, our favorite dynamic duo has something to say. I know, shocking, but check out what Matt and Joey want you to know about virtual truck shows.
Hey, what are you watching? Watching a virtual truck show. What? A virtual truck show? What is a virtual truck show, bro? You know, it's a truck show online because we can't go to the show because of COVID. You know, the COVID pandemic. So they got it on YouTube, and so we're gonna watch the show, check out the trucks, listen to some concerts and stuff by Tony Justice and everything, and they're gonna give out the awards too, virtual awards. Whoa, slow down there, Seabiscuit. Virtual awards. Oh, hey, look, I won first place at a virtual truck show. See, it's virtual. It's not really there. Yeah, well, this is what we got, bro. It's virtual. It's better than nothing. Hopefully next year, the shows will be back in full effect, you know? Yeah, well, at least you got a front row seat to the virtual. Look at you. Virtual. Get out of here.
Thanks guys. Remember, the only place you can find Matt and Joey is right here on the Truck Boss Show, so be sure to follow and subscribe so you never miss them. Now Isela, you have some info for our viewers on the FMCSA's newest panel.
Carlin, U.S. Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao has announced that the FMCSA has created a new panel consisting of commercial drivers to contribute to the agency's Motor Carrier Safety Advisory Committee. The panel will provide feedback to the FMCSA on issues facing truckers, such as safety, hours of service regulations, training, and parking. According to the FMCSA, the new panel includes between 20 and 25 drivers representing various sectors of the industry: tractor-trailers, straight trucks, and motor coaches, including hazardous materials and agriculture goods. FMCSA Deputy Administrator Deck stated, "The administration believes in listening to our drivers and hearing their concerns directly." And speaking of professionals, Carlin, who else is getting some appreciation love?
Thanks, Isela. This week was the first ever Technician Appreciation Week. Announced by the American Trucking Association and its Technology and Maintenance Council, it is an opportunity to recognize and thank the professional techs for all their work keeping trucks moving. There were several different webinars throughout the week, as well as a chance to nominate Technician Superstars. If you missed the 2020 Technician Appreciation Week, don't worry, this is just the first and others are planned. Now, speaking of techs, we have an awesome new segment for you guys. It's called the Maintenance Minute, and we've teamed up with David Dunford, a tech with Rush, to explain some common problems and fixes for those awesome machines that we love.
Hello, this is David, Rush Truck Center, Oklahoma City. We've got your maintenance in a minute. Today's topics are about quality fuel and quality DEF. Some of the places don't filtration their fuel before it's delivered to you out of the pump. Your more quality places are gonna have a little bit better filter system. What we're talking about is more or less like the algae that's floating around in those tanks or that are stuck to your tanks, just like your lakes. As the seasons change and everything turns, that algae will break loose and get into your truck system. What you're gonna be looking for is on your filters, your clear filter that you can see through, you're gonna see more of a green tint, maybe a grayish tint. That's plugging your system up. Now your truck's not running as good. You're wondering why your truck's sluggish. Maybe the temperatures are changing on it, whatever the case may be. This is caused from the algae or the poor quality of fuel that's getting into your truck system. Water, into your water separators, you're gonna see that there. Also your DEF. DEF came out originally as a pharmaceutical grade ammonia. A less than quality can cause great problems within your electrical system on your DEF delivery, your sensors, your injectors, stuff like that. Hey, David Dunford, Rush Truck Center, Oklahoma City, maintenance in a minute.
If you like this new segment, or if you have anything specific you'd like to know about, leave us a comment down below. And don't forget to follow and subscribe so you never miss the Maintenance Minute. Now, Isela, tell us about this dummy who got in trouble for passing a trucker.
Times have definitely changed, and who would have imagined self-driving vehicles? That's something I've seen in movies. Well, let me tell you that a Model S Tesla was seen on the highway speeding up to pass a big semi when the truck driver noticed that the driver of the famous Tesla had his seat reclined all the way back and was asleep. Well, he reported it to police, and the driver was eventually arrested and now has to appear in court. Now, how scary would that be? But who do you think would get the blame if the Tesla would have been in an accident with a semi? And speaking of self-driving, here's part 3 of our autonomous series.
Recent announcements from Too Simple and Ike Robotics make it sound as if the autonomous trucking revolution is around the corner, and that we should get ready for driverless trucks hauling commercial freight nationwide within a couple of years. That's mostly hype, intended to attract investors. In part 1 of our series on autonomous trucking, we reviewed the autonomous landscape. Part 2 explored the road ahead. In this, our final segment, we look at the social cost of driverless technology and how drivers can make their voices heard. Autonomous trucks are being sold as a safer, cheaper alternative to trucks with human drivers, but what's hardly ever discussed are the costs, not only to drivers, but to the rural communities where most of them reside, and the families that depend on truck stop, diner, and distribution center jobs that will be eliminated by longer hauls. Not to mention the additional wear and tear on highways, bridges, already badly in need of repair, and the railroad jobs lost to a less efficient mode of transportation thanks to a new technology developed largely at taxpayer expense. Steve Viselli, a professor at the University of Pennsylvania, is one of the few researchers to have called attention to these costs in his landmark report, Driverless, available at driverlessreport.org.
We have got to broaden this debate. I think the first thing we need to do is we need to get out of this mindset that there is some inherent path to this technology that is going to produce, X or Y outcome, and then we need to fix the problems. That is simply a recipe for letting, the carriers and the technology developers to, pick their most profitable path and run with it. And then, putting all the costs onto drivers, the communities that'll lose jobs, our infrastructure, the environment, all these other, stakeholders in this, who are going to be affected.
There's still time for truckers to make their voices heard.
The majority of the truck drivers live away from cities. We don't want to drive local every day, short haul. So I think that that's just a pipe dream, that they think, oh, all of us over the road truck drivers want to be home every night and we want to run the same route. Wrong.
There are lots of regulatory hurdles that will have to be cleared before autonomous trucking can get beyond the testing phase.
Now, what's going to happen when we get to the final, end run in Congress? We're going to have a very well-researched, case for the safety benefits and the cost savings to consumers of what self-driving trucks will do. There are going to be tons of experts and reports lined up to enter into the record in Congress when these votes come up. And then we're going to have a whole bunch of he said, she said, debatable questions about the impact on local communities or the impact on truck drivers or the impact on greenhouse gas emissions.
Viselli says now is the time for trucker advocates to make their voices heard, not just anecdotally, but by presenting real, compelling evidence of the social harms caused by autonomous trucks. He acknowledges that such an effort is beyond the means of individual truckers, but recommends that maybe a trade group such as Zoida might step up and champion the cause.
And that's how you win, right, in our policy. And if drivers have any doubt, and most of your viewers probably aren't old enough, but some of them will remember, the debates around deregulation. Deregulation was won because it asked one simple question: what are the costs of regulation? They never asked, what are the benefits? What are the benefits to American manufacturers of having American manufacturing workers of having shorter supply chains? What are the benefits of mom and pop shops, from having equal rates, charged to them as Walmart? Right? Nobody asked those questions. And what are the impacts on driver wages and hours and everything else that we've seen deteriorate since deregulation? They didn't ask those questions. They only asked, what's the savings to American consumers, right, from these costs of regulation? And that's what we're going to see in autonomous trucks. If drivers and others who are concerned, and there are many of us who should be, if drivers don't start making their voice heard, we're going to see it in 2-3 years, whenever they're ready to put that legislation out there to kind of, create the federal rules that will guide this. That's the outcome you'll see.
This is a huge issue, and we're not going to stop covering it. But that's all I've got for now. Keep up the good fight, stay safe, and we'll see you down the road.
And a big thanks to our friend Brad there. But Carlin, times are changing.
They are, and as Brad said, they're a little further off than a lot of people think, but at the same time, they will be here pretty soon. Again, Teslas, we were just talking about, they're smaller scale, of course, but it'll get here eventually. So
it will, whether we agree with it or not, but we'll just have to see how everything unfolds and just kind of roll with it.
Exactly. And talking about new trucks, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about some old trucks, because we were in Tonkawa, Oklahoma for the Busted Knuckle Truck Show this weekend at the Wilkins.
It's Wilkins, Oklahoma Truck Supply.
That's it, because if you call it Wilkins Chrome, that's not correct, so don't do that.
It took me like 10 times, so it's okay.
Right, it takes a little time, because it's a chrome shop, but it's not.
Yeah,
it's everything.
Yeah,
really,
but
right?
What's so cool about Wilkins is they restore Peterbilts, like the vintage ones.
They really want to showcase those older models, so they're very much into that, and that's kind of what the Busted Knuckle Truck Show is all about, is showing off these old trucks that you may have put a lot of work into and things like that. And everyone that we talked to at the truck show could tell us the story of their truck, how much money they put into it. You could tell how much pride they take in all this.
Well, and not only pride, but they were very passionate about the industry. And it's so neat to know and to hear all these stories and just to see how proud they are. And everybody just came together, and to see the old school trucks, that's not something you see on the road a lot today. And some of them, they're really working trucks.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's pretty cool. But we had a lot of fun. There's just so much out there.
There is. And if you missed it, don't worry. We do have a highlight that's actually going to be coming on, or going to be posted tomorrow. I think Isella's going to be the one working on that one.
Yes.
So she'll make sure when she gets it on and everything. But it was just fantastic to see a lot of eye candy. Ooh,
eye candy.
Yeah,
and by
right?
eye candy, we mean the trucks.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. There were some pretty good looking people there. Not gonna lie. But yes, we're talking about the trucks. So
I'm like, my husband watches this.
But just remember that you can see that, and of course, if you didn't make it this year, try to make it next year.
You have to.
It's an awesome show.
And speaking of truck shows, well, you already know GBATS is having their first ever virtual show, and that's going to be taking place tomorrow at 6 p.m. But you got to stay on the lookout, because of course the TruckBot show got to show up. We're going to make an appearance.
That's right.
So
we
I'm
couldn't
excited
go,
to see
just
it.
like a lot of you guys, but you know what? We're there in spirit, and we're make a tiny little cameo. So
yeah, and hopefully next year, after all this stuff, hopefully we can get it taken care of. We will be there.
Yes.
And into all the other shows, because we do miss it.
That's
we miss
right.
all the people.
All
we
the
miss
other
you out
shows
there.
have moved to next year, so we've already got our schedule planned out.
So remember, GBATS tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central Time.
That's right. And then looking ahead to next week, we're going to be talking with a well-known YouTube personality, Mark Anthony.
Known as The Storm.
Known as The Storm. Isella got to chat with him. And then we're going to be talking with Ed Miller. He's the author of A Trucker's Tale. You may have seen the book. We did a little bit of a preview on it. It's a really good book, so if you can, check it out on Amazon and things like that, because he's got some funny stories. It's pretty awesome.
I like it.
Yeah. And of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because we can't keep doing this without your support.
That's right. And why do we do this?
Because you're the boss.